Hello. The next video is going to be adding a bridge across the Yarra River in this greeble streetscape that we have created. So in order to do this, we need to firstly align where the bridge is going to go, and then we're going to use a turbo smooth technique to create the bridge. So the first thing we will do is just to go into the top view, and we will need to align the bridge with the footpaths that we've created. So the first thing we're going to do is just to add some lines along either side of the bridge, just for reference. So there's one. We're just now going to put that into the right layer, and we'll just clone that to make sure the next line is the same. We just select that line, clone, reference clone is fine, and we'll just grab this and push it so that's aligned. Okay, so the next step will be to add a simple box from one side of the river to the other. This will form the basis of our bridge. So we're just going to edit the properties of this box. We want it to be relatively high, so I'm going to increase it to around about 130 meters, and we'll make sure a portion of it is sitting underneath the city as a foundation. So we also want to add some segments to this bridge. So we're going to keep it simple with 3 segments along the width, and we'll just add 4 segments along the length. Okay, so now we will want to do some edits to this poly. So in the modifier list, you'll just be adding a edit poly. So the first edit poly, we're just going to rename it to keep things clear. So this will be adjusting edges of the polygon. So the way we will do this is in this selection, we'll select the edge and grab one notch. We'll loop that by clicking this button, and then we'll just use the side viewport to maneuver that approximately halfway between that reference point. We'll do the same for the other side. So select a edge, loop, and move that back to about that point. All right. We're going to do a similar style selection on the other side of the bridge. So we're just going to turn off some layers just to make this a little bit easier. And we're going to do some adjustments to edges on the other side of the bridge. So using the edge tool, again, we're just going to click. Using the edge tool, we're just going to click one line, loop that, and we're just going to push that back around about there. Same thing on the other side, pushing using the y-axis to about there. You can see on this view, they're looking pretty similar in size. So now we will do some new edit polys to create holes in the bridge. So we'll grab an edit poly, a new edit poly. We'll just rename this to holes. Okay, so we want to, in this selection now, we want to select the polygon to create these holes. So simply it's selecting a polygon, pressing Shift and the X-axis and pushing that out of the bridge. So I'll go ahead and do this for all the elements. Just going to do one more adjustment to the edges. So the way we're going to do that is go back into the edge tool, select this edge here. Try that edge there, loop. And we're just going to pull this whole thing up. So there we have the bones of our bridge. So if I just turn these layers on, you can see it's sitting there nicely in the right alignment. So we have our bridge. We're just going to do another round of holes just to create the 4 pillars of the bridge. So we do that again by in the Edit Poly Holes layer. We're going to go to a poly selection, click and select the Y-axis, Shift and pull, Shift, pull. Same on the other side of the bridge. Okay, so there we have the bones of our bridge that is connecting one side of the Yarra River to the other side. All right, so now we have our simple bridge polygon, and now we are going to add some bridging elements on our bridge and end up doing our turbo smooth to make a futuristic style bridge here. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is just another edit poly. So this edit poly is going to be renamed for bridging elements. Okay, so this will be a simple bridging exercise. What we're going to do is on our polygon, we're going to click the surface or polygon tool. We're going to click one polygon on the inner side. Just use the rotate button here. Might just turn off that building and footpaths layer for now. And we want to get the polygon surface on the opposite side. So we're just going to press the Shift key back into a selection mode, the Shift key. And sometimes my Shift key deselects. So sometimes I just have to play around with that. So I'm holding Shift now. I'll put that on, click it again, And there we go. So now we can bridge. So in the edit poly thing, we can press bridge here. By clicking on this little calendar symbol, you come up with some parameters so you can edit the bridging element. We want to create a bit of a taper, create some more segments, and a bit of a twist. So we'll add a lot of segments. We'll go for 80 segments and see how that goes. We want our twist, you can just sort of play around with that twist, but we want it to be something along the lines of -3. And in terms of the twist, we'll just see what looks nice. Probably a 7 is good at the moment. All right, so we'll just, whoops. So now we have our bridge. We click on the tick and we're just going to make a matching one on the opposite side. So I can probably do it from here. Maybe I'll just orbit up a little bit. So again, we want to stick to the select polygon tool, click this side, shift this side. That's deselecting, and I'm not entirely sure why it does that, but anyway, we'll just click this button, click it again, let go of shift, and that seems to work. So now we'll go bridge, had 80, -3, and our twist was, I think our twist was 7. Okay. Click the tick. Right, so there's our bridge looking quite nice. We can do a second bridging element up there if you like, but I might just keep it simple for now. All right, so now we will just turn on our footpaths and our budding so we can see our bridge in context, and it is looking good. We want to now do a turbo smooth to this polygon, so we'll just leave that polygon selection tool. So we've got the whole thing selected there. We'll just jump into here, and there's lots of things you can play around with, but the one that I'm looking for is turbo smooth. So if we just go down, it's down on the next layer, turbo smooth. Okay, 3, 2, 1, bam. So here's our futuristic looking bridge. It's looking very interesting. Obviously these pillars will be underwater, so we don't have to worry about that. But generally, it's looking pretty interesting. You can change the iterations. Recommended not going beyond 5 because it can make your 3ds Max load pretty high. So we'll just leave it at that. That's looking pretty good. So yes, there is our bridge. Looks a little bit like a cradle, but also I would like to go for a drive over that bridge in the future.